Hari Om Tat Sat. Nilakantha Dikshitar by Swami Sivananda Maharaj. 300 years ago, an exalted and sagacious personality known as Nilakantha Dikshitar dwelt in South India. He was a born genius, a poet, and a picturesque philosopher, an unparalleled devotee, a highly distinguished statesman with a receptive and responsive, subtle, and penetrating intellect. He could remember anything even at the first reading. Nilakantha Dikshitar was the brother of Ayappa Dikshitar, who was on the peak of intellectual integrity and divine realization. Appaya wrote volumes on spiritual and philosophical subjects and was even considered as an incarnation of Lord Shiva. The time came for a family partition, and Nilakantha was asked by the adorable Appaya Dikshitar to spell out his share. The wise and discerning Nilakantha implored Appaya for his blessings for wisdom and nothing else. Highly pleased Appaya blessed him with wisdom, no doubt, but material prosperity too followed. One day, while Nilakantha was delivering lecture on Devi Mahatya in the orthodox and soul-stirring style of the ancient time, the then puissant ruler Tirumalai Nayak of the Pandyan kingdom at Madurai was bewitched by the boy's depth of knowledge, brilliance, and sublimity of speech and made up his mind to make the matchless youth his prime minister and court pundit. A condition there was at that time a premiership which was simple but was an enigma not easy of solution. It eluded the understanding of even the mighty brains, but it was quite simple for Nilkanta. He answered it. In the very mindset of royal splendor and many a pleasure, Nilakantha led a simple life of a pious, a serene life of philosopher, an astral life of the recluse, an intensely devoted life of mystic. Under the direct supervision of Nilakantha, Sundaramurti Asari, who had reached the acme of perfection in art, chiseled the statue of a queen of Tirumala Nayak for placing it in the Pandu Mandapam, which was under construction then. But to his misfortune, an undesirable event took place. A thin slice flew away from the right thigh of the queen's statue, making a conspicuous lacuna therein. Again the sculptor tried, but in vain. Nilkantha of comprehensive vision, knowing the mole in the thigh of the queen, told the sculptor, who was perturbed beyond description, to leave the statue as it was. The king came to know of the whole story. He was clouded by suspicion, deluded by misunderstanding and fury, and with his confused intelligence commanded the arrest of Nilkantha. Nilkantha at that time was waving camphor arati to the mother of the universe, Maha Meenakshi, whose staunch upasayika he was. By the grace of the mother and through intuitive perception, he knew of the storm raised in the mind of a king and of his command. He added some more camphor to the light and applied it to his eyes and left them blind. The king heard of his tragic incident and came to his senses. Drowned in the ocean of repentance and remorse, the king ran to the crystal, pure Nilkantha, to beg pardon of him. Nilkantha, of all compassion, tender feelings, and inimitable devotion, poured out his heart to the mother in 105 verses for the restoration of his eyesight and to save the king from remorse. From that day, Nilkantha cut off the bonds that bound him to the royal court. Tirumalai Nayak, the ruler, honored him by presenting the Jagir of a Palamandai, 4 miles from Tirunavalli. In his last days, the devotion intoxicated Nilkantha, who was a glorious saint and sage, wrote several inspired works, which were natural and spontaneous, sublime and elevating, scholarly and vibrant with feeling. He took sannyasa and entered into samadhi. That is the story for today.